The sinking reason your body weight hides the fault line folding away beneath your feet. And in Death Valley, California, a canyon 282 feet below sea level has been swallowing itself for 3 million years without ever once filling. It should be a lake by now. It should be a mountain. Every geologic law says the hole gets smaller over time. Death Valley chose different. Every river that runs into that basin disappears. Every flash flood that tears through its walls drains away without a trace. Enough sand and sediment has poured into that valley over the last 2 million years to bury a city 12 times over. Scientists ran the numbers. The math says the floor should be level by now. 2 million years of erosion feeding one hole, and yet the hole keeps winning. The basin sits lower today than it did when the first humans crossed its salt flats. Not from drought, not from heat. Something underneath is pulling the floor down faster than the surface can fill it. That something has a name. And it has been running since before our species existed. Death Valley is not a canyon the way you're picturing it. It is a graben, a dropped block of Earth's crust pinned between two fault lines, the Panamint Range on one side, the Black Mountains on the other, and those two walls are slowly walking away from each other. 6 millimeters per year, that sounds like nothing. Over 3 million years, it opens an abyss. The floor is not just low because of erosion, it is actively sinking every year. Right now, while you're watching this, the faults on both flanks are spreading apart and the block between them has nowhere to go but down. Sediment pours in from the walls, flash floods carry it, wind carries it, and still the floor drops because the rate at which those two mountain ranges are separating outpaces everything the surface can deliver. The canyon is eating itself from the inside out. The question you haven't asked yet is why you should care. Hold that. Here is what breaks the logic. If the basin is sinking and filling at the same time, and it is, geologists have confirmed this, then you are not looking at an empty crater, you are looking at a full one. The valley floor holds over 9,000 feet of rock, sand, and ancient lake sediment beneath that salt crust. 9,000 feet. 3 Empire State Buildings stacked underground before you even reach bedrock. Death Valley did not refuse to fill. It filled completely, then kept sinking. You are watching a geologic hourglass. The sand is already in there. The basin just keeps making more room. This is where it changes. That ancient sediment buried under the floor tells a story that rewrites the timeline. 12,000 years ago, Death Valley was a lake. Lake Manly stretched 60 miles long and 600 feet deep across the same basin floor where tourists photograph salt polygons today. There were fish, shoreline vegetation, rain. The Mojave Desert was temperate country. Then the climate shifted. The lake evaporated over thousands of years. What remains is the white salt-crusted badwater, the dried ghost of an inland sea. But the valley kept sinking after the water left. The graben kept spreading. And here is the part that does not make the textbooks. The spreading is accelerating. Basin and range tectonics, the same system pulling Death Valley apart, runs from Oregon down through northern Mexico. It is widening. Geologists tracking GPS displacement across the region recorded increased spreading rates in the last 2 decades. This valley is not a static scar. It is an active wound. And underneath that salt flat buried under 9,000 feet of its own history, the bedrock is moving toward a point where no surface process will ever catch it. The graben wins. It has always won. Now look at where Death Valley sits on the map. It is not isolated. The Basin and Range Province, the same tectonic system responsible for this one valley, covers a third of the American West. Nevada, Utah, Arizona, the spreading is regional, not local. The same fault geometry that made Death Valley a sinking graben is present under dozens of other valleys across the Southwest. Some of them have cities in them. Las Vegas sits inside a basin. So does Reno. GPS readings confirm those valley floors are dropping too. The question is not whether they are moving. The question is rate. What happens to infrastructure when the basin it sits on starts moving fast enough to measure at the surface? Death Valley is not the warning. It is the finished version of what a warning looks like after 3 million years of patience. Lake Manly filled this basin 600 feet deep. Then it dried. The basin kept sinking anyway. The next climate shift, and paleoclimate models say wetter conditions return to the Mojave, brings water back to the desert. More precipitation, more erosion, more sediment filling a hole that has never once stopped growing. The question is not whether Death Valley floods again. It will. The question is what fills it first. Water pouring in from a rewilded Mojave. Or the fault underneath finally moving fast enough that the people living in the basins next door feel it too, and by then, they've already built everything on top of it.